Welcome to today's video where I am sharing with you how I make homemade marshmallows. I started making these back in 2019. I followed Danielle Walker's recipe from Against All Grain. I'll link her recipe below, but I don't follow her recipe anymore. I realized that whenever people ask me how I make my marshmallows, I would send her recipe and then a ton of caveats of things that I do differently. So I have put my recipe on my blog, so what you'll need is filtered water, vanilla, gelatin. I love mine from Perfect Supplements. I have a coupon code for this below, and they also have a huge sale going on right now. Maple syrup, which I get from Azure Standard, and arrowroot powder, which isn't totally necessary, but if you want your marshmallows to not stick together, then it's a good thing to have on hand. So to start off, you need to give time to your gelatin to bloom. So you add 1/2 cup of water to a bowl and then sprinkle 3 tablespoons of gelatin over top of the water, and then you'll let it sit there during the process of heating up your water and maple syrup. I usually just let mine sit right on top of the water and absorb. Sometimes I'll grab a whisk and mix it in to make sure all of the powder has been mixed with the water while it sits there. It's really important to use a great quality grass-fed, grass-finished gelatin. That way you know you're getting lots of nutrients through your marshmallows. This is what it looks like as it's going to be blooming. You can make marshmallows with sugar or with honey, but I prefer the taste and the richness of the marshmallows from using the maple syrup. So now I'll add another 1/2 cup of filtered water to my pot, and then I will add about 75 grams of maple syrup. For those of you who like measuring cups, that is 1/4 cup of maple syrup. You could even use less than that. Really, with the maple syrup amount, you can adjust that to your liking as you trial and error it, but I find that usually a little less than 1/4 cup or around 70 grams works really well. So now this process is where I definitely change mine from Against All Grain. I change my measurements a little bit, and then I also change this process. So instead of using a thermometer to get to the right temperature, I find that there's too little liquid in the pot to get an accurate reading. So what I do is I turn it on medium-high heat and I will let it sit there until it boils. I'll whisk it every once in a while to keep it from scorching or burning. And then once it gets to a place where it is rapidly boiling, still at medium-high heat, I set mine to number 7. Once it gets to a rapid boil, I will turn the timer on for 5 minutes and I will whisk it that entire 5 minutes until it's done, and then I will slowly add it into the bloomed gelatin that was in my bowl. The pot that I use most of the time is my stainless steel stock pot, and that it just easily pours down the side, but my glass pot struggles with that. So this process doesn't look as smooth as with my other pot, but just slowly pour it down the side, and then you'll start slowly turning on your mixer until you get it mixed to where it's not going to splatter everywhere, and then you can turn it on to high heat. Now, if you use honey or sugar, you will have a perfectly white marshmallow. With the maple syrup, it'll start out really brown like this, but then as you are mixing it, it will definitely lighten in color. I mix it for a while, then I will add my teaspoon of homemade vanilla to it. And then now you are just gonna keep on mixing until it gets lighter and lighter in color and more fluffy. And for me, how I read when it's ready is when one drip comes off of it and then it doesn't drip anymore. That is the perfect timing. If you go any further beyond that, it is going to get hard very quickly and it will not pour out of the bowl very well. You can see this is just on the verge of still being pourable and form into the shape of the bowl. If you wait too long, it gets way too thick and you're gonna have some chunky marshmallows rather than smooth marshmallows that pour nicely into your dish. Now, because I use a glass dish, I did not line it or powder it or anything. I just pour it directly into the glass dish, and then now you just let it sit there for a while until it gets nice and firm. I've added my arrowroot powder on top, and then I coated my knife with some coconut oil just to make it cut nicer. At this point, you can loosen them up and then add more of your arrowroot powder if you'd like. I usually don't unless I'm bringing it to an event, but just for us at home, we usually go through them pretty quickly anyways, so I don't need to do that. These will last in a storage container on the counter for about 3 days. I noticed for us, if we don't go through it in 3 to 4 days, it will get moldy. But that's usually not a problem to get through it in that amount of time. So now I'm making our hot chocolate. I use organic cacao powder and then a little bit of salt, some vanilla, and then I will add honey to it. Hot water, and then I will top it off with some milk. And here is the marshmallows with the hot chocolate. It is one of our favorite evening time drinks, and it is guilt-free because of all of the healthy nutrients in the gelatin, and it is made with maple syrup, so that's always a benefit. If you want to shop from Perfect Supplements and get your gelatin there, if you buy 6 or more of any of the Perfect Supplements brand items, you can get 25% off of all of those items, and then you can stack my discount code on top of it for an additional 10% off. You can do that anytime. They offer that year-round. If you buy 6 or more of their products, you can mix and match. You don't have to get all of the same thing. I will list below all of my favorite items to get from them. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I bless you and the rest of your day.